6th grade, Miss Carswell here. Today we're going to be learning about another way that we can visually represent data, and that is using something called a histogram. So follow along to this presentation. So a histogram is a way that we can organize data using bars of different heights, and we're going to see what that looks like in this example. Okay, so this right here is a histogram, and on this vertical axis over here where I have numbers that are counting up from 0 to 9, that is where I'm going to record my frequency. Frequency meaning how often something occurs. On the horizontal axis down here, you can see that I have heights that are arranged into different ranges, okay? And what these ranges are showing me is how many people, for example, are less than 130 centimeters, okay? How many people are between 130 and 134 centimeters? So these are a way that we are grouping data into ranges or into intervals. You might hear the word bins as well, okay? So for example, there is one person, because this bar is at a height of 1, there is one person that is less than 130 centimeters. They might be 120 centimeters, they might be 125 centimeters. We don't know, we just know that there's one person in this interval. There are, for example, 4 people in this range right here. Let me go back. There are 4 people between 130 and 134 centimeters. Again, we don't know from looking at this histogram exactly how tall they are, but we know that 4 people are in this range right here. Okay? Let's use this histogram again. It's the same one to answer the following questions. I want you to challenge yourself to pause the video, see if you can answer A through D, and then I'll go over them so you can check your work. So question A, how many people were between 135 and 139 centimeters tall? I'm going to find this range, okay? It's right here, this range on my histogram, and I'm going to count up all the way, and I see that there are 8, so the frequency was 8, which means there's 8 people in this range, 8 people between 135 and 130 centimeters tall. There were 2 people that were 160 centimeters or taller. I know this because I find that range or that interval, and the frequency is 2. Question C, how many people were 150 centimeters or taller? This one was a little bit more challenging because there were actually a couple of steps here, right? 150 centimeters or taller could be any of these 3 intervals down here, okay? 150 to 154, 155 to 159, or 160 or more. So I would actually need to add up the frequencies of these 3 intervals, and that would give me 9 because I see 4 plus 3 plus 2. And lastly, in what range would someone who was 146 centimeters tall be placed? So if we were adding a data point to this set of data and that person was 146 centimeters, they would fall in the range 145 to 149. That would be their range or their interval. Awesome. The last part of this video is going to be showing us how we can create a histogram together. Okay, so in this situation, Conrad is recording the number of hours he spends on the internet for 2 weeks. So he has a bunch of different data. On different days, he spent a different number of hours on the internet, and he put this into our frequency table, which gives the interval and the frequency. So on 2 days, he spent between 0 and 4 hours on the internet. On 3 days, he spent between 5 and 9 hours, and so on, okay? So let's use this to build ourselves a histogram. We always want to make sure that we label both of our axes, okay? So hours should go on the bottom because that's going to be where my intervals are, and then frequency is going to go on the vertical axis, and a title for the whole histogram could be hours on the internet. On the bottom, I'm going to put my ranges, my intervals of hours, and then I can see, right, the frequency for 0 to 4 hours is 2. So I would just draw my vertical bar up to the 2, okay? I can do the same thing. On 3 days, he spent between 5 and 9 hours on the internet. On 7 days, he spent between 10 and 14 hours on the internet. There's no data in the next 2 columns, but there is one day where he spent between 25 and 29 hours. All right, that is what we need to know about histograms for our practice You guys have got this. Make sure you reach out if you need help.